Hey guys, Sam Logan here. So today, got my friend Sam here. Getting lots of questions about the Royal Marines and training and life in the Royal Marines, things like that. So I thought we'll just combine all the questions we've been given and sort of put them into a Q&A question with a little bit of dialogue and stuff like that. So hopefully nice and helpful for you. Remember to like and subscribe. Go and get some scran and a drink and sit back and enjoy.
Cool. So we'll start with the most obvious one that everyone will always ask you. Why did you join in the first place?
So joined the Royal Marines. I was like, I almost made it as a professional footballer. Didn't quite work out, and then I just wanted to challenge myself as much as I could. So I was, I spoke to my brother and my dad about joining the military. My brother was in the Navy, my dad was in the Army, and they just said, like, the hardest challenge is the Royal Marines. So that was the one that appealed to me most. I sort of went into it quite naive. I just knew it was the hardest thing to join, so that's why it appealed to me, and I'm glad I did.
Okay. What was the hardest thing about the training?
The longevity of it, and the I think just the accumulation of, like, it's 8 months long. You're wet, you're cold, you're hungry, you're sleep deprived for 8 months. You've got to learn so much information in that time as well. You've got to become an elite soldier from being a civvy, and you've got all those other factors going on at the same time. And I think that is the thing that just, it's so hard. You're seeing lads drop out. We started with 60, finished with 12. You're seeing so many lads drop out. All your mates are leaving, etc. You might get injured. You miss home. Like all these sort of things, and just all that. The accumulation of all those things makes it so hard. So yeah, I'd say short answer to that.
Fair enough. Once you've had those 8 months of training, how does it then change once you become a Royal Marine? Once you're accepted in?
It's big boy rules, obviously. In training, you're under the microscope from everyone, from all the trained ranks, from corporals to high-ranking officers. Whereas when you're in, it's a lot more like you've got a lot more trust. You are a Royal Marines Commando now. Everyone knows that you're wearing that green beret because you deserve it. So there's not as much of a scope on you. And also because you're obviously a trained elite soldier now, so you just blend in. So life, in training, every day is 100 miles an hour. When you get in, your chilled periods are very chilled, and your hard periods are extremely hard and extremely busy. For instance, I'd be away for 8 months a year, some years, but then the 4 months that we weren't away was, training twice a day, and very little details going on and stuff like that. So they're not Muppets in terms, like, they won't thrash you and find stuff for you to do for the sake of it. If there's nothing to do, then your time's your own pretty much, because they know that in your busy times it's going to make up for the times where you're less busy. So that's one aspect.
How was everyone in those chill periods? Did you see some lads sort of drop off their training, get a bit too relaxed, or was it generally a pretty good mindset from everyone? Most
lads are pretty focused. You get one or two, but then they soon get found out, and then they have to get a move on. But like a lot of lads will go out and get on it a lot. Go drinking and all sorts of stuff, but still train. Most lads are training once or twice a day minimum. That's just the culture. So it's good, and all the gyms are top quality on the bases now. Like unbelievable. Limpston CTC's gym's unreal. So it's good, man, because like sometimes you're training like you're like an elite athlete. You'll train at 8 AM, you'll go in, you'll do maybe a few lectures or whatever, get thinned out for lunch for 2 hours, maybe train on your lunch period, go back for a few hours, and then done for the day, and you might train again. So you're talking like 1 to 3 training sessions a day, and that could go on for 2 or 3 months, and then it's like, right, boom, we're going away, and then you'll just delve straight into all that, and and then you're doing obviously what you're trained to do. So pretty awesome lifestyle.
Yeah, you make it sound pretty fun.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing outside. Don't know why I left.
One of the things that a lot of the guys who get in contact with you ask is, what was the hardest part of the training? Like, what did you personally struggle with the most, do you think?
Wet and dry.
Right.
So if you haven't heard of wet and dry, it's basically you'll get dunked in a river or just naturally get soaking wet because you're on an exercise, and then when you get into your sleeping bag at night for that 2 hours that you get or whatever, you've got to get into your dry gear, and then when you get out your sleeping bag, and obviously you're back into your working gear, so you get back into all your wet gear, and that's just a survival method, you know, because you can't be getting your dry kit wet, because then obviously you'll go down. So for me that was so hard, but I went through in like quite a cold winter as well, so we'd put our wet gear back on and we'd have to like break open our trousers because they'd like iced over and stuff, and like 4 in the morning or whatever, it's just like, what the heck am I doing here? But that was probably the single hardest thing in Royal Marines training, was wet and dry.
I've seen the YouTube videos of the icebreaker challenge in Norway.
Yeah.
How was that? Because that looks horrific.
Yeah, that was it's quite like chilled atmosphere to a certain extent, like, so you know, like so it's nice and chilled. However, when you get in there, it really is chilled. Like it's excuse the pun. It's flipping it. Like the trick is to not let your head get submerged. And me just being a Hmong, I just jump straight in, completely submerged, and then just shock takes over. So you've got to really control yourself, control your breathing. Then you're getting asked loads of questions. You know, what's your name? You know, where you're from? What's your P0 number? How many dogs have you flipping?
You struggle with that anyway, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's hard to answer those questions on a normal day. But yeah, it's good fun. And then after that, you get out. When you put your bag out and got your skis out and everything like that, you'll run and do a toast to the Queen, and then go and get dry and get in the wagon. So it's good, like, but cold, like mega cold. You can see why people die like in the water, because just that shock. You could be skiing one moment, you break through the ice, and then boom, you flipping start panicking. Yeah. So it's a good drill to have.
Yeah. I mean, the videos make it look cool, but probably not as cool to do, to be fair.
Yes. By that point, you know, your mindset's so changed.
Yeah.
Like, if a normal civvy did it, they'd probably flipping end up in hospital. But yeah,
fair enough.
Good luck.
Do you think there's a lot of the guys also ask about what gear they need, like when they go into it? So, you know, before they start their training, maybe during their training, is there stuff that you'd recommend people get, like a really decent rucksack, or?
Like, all the equipment that you'll be using for the military will be given to you.
Right.
You know, bags, boots, everything like that. However, small things can make a massive difference. For instance, wearing lycra shorts rather than cotton boxers.
Right, yeah.
You know, they make a massive difference to chafage and all that sort of stuff. If you're
just getting wet a lot and then drying.
Exactly, 100%. Like that was one of my secrets, was like having that, you know, and like, I wouldn't get chafage or anything like that because I had lycras on. And also, maybe shouldn't say this, but it all depends on your training team. A small thin pair of socks between your feet and the military socks, because the military socks are, you know, really thick and can create blisters and stuff like that. So I had a thin layer of like Bridgedale Climax socks, I think they're called, 15 quid for 2 pairs.
And that was allowed, was it?
I got away with it. I got away with it. And a small thin icebreaker top, a merino wool icebreaker top, that because it stays warm when it's wet. And again, you know, you got to risk it for a biscuit, didn't you? I got away with it, but if I didn't, I would have got thrashed for it. So I'm not saying do that, but I'm just, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. It all depends on the training team. Mine was really really down the line. You weren't allowed anything, whereas some are mega chilled. So it all depends on your training team.
Fair enough. Well, I guess I could check that out first anyway before they get thrashed based on your advice.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That Sam Raven Fitness told me to wear it.
What about lads who want to join but are worried about maybe their current fitness levels? Or what you do get a lot is that you might get lads who are awesome at, like, you know, the bodyweight stuff like press ups, sit ups, pull ups, absolute machines when it comes to that, but then, you know, maybe they've got too much muscle, their running lets them down, or maybe the other way around even. What would you say to them? Do you think there's stuff they can be doing, or?
Yeah, 100%. To coin a phrase from Matt Fraser, who's a CrossFit, you know, he's the best in CrossFit, he says, find a weakness and attack it. So if you know that your weakness is press ups or sit ups, attack it. Like, there's no excuse. There's literally no excuses to turn up on day one and not be ready, because you'll have had enough time, and it's all about how much you want it, how much are you willing to work, how much are you willing to put COD down for an hour and go and do your training. Do you know what I mean? It really is that simple, you know. Like, I came into training really fit because I was training 6 days a week. A lot of lads came in and they weren't up to the scratch, or they weren't up to standard, and had to leave or got injured, or just found that first couple of weeks especially really, really hard. So it's all about how much you want it, you know, how much are you willing to sacrifice now to reap the rewards later, you know. So yeah, my advice would just be, if you know running's a weakness, if you know body weight workouts are a weakness, you've got to attack it. Find a really good program, find a really good PT, or just you know, someone that you know is really good, or glean your own information off the internet. You know, so much knowledge out there. And I've just released a program as well, so you can have a look at that. I'll put that in the description. But that will get you fit, I promise you.
Well, tell us more about that then. What is it, and why have you released it?
It's basically like it's a Get Fit for the Royal Marines program.
Right.
So it's 3 runs a week, 3 bodyweight workouts a week. The running is specific to the individual. So week 1 is test week. You'll test your 400 metre and you'll test your mile runs. Then from that, I use a formula that basically works out your fatigue factor for your mile and a half time and everything like that. And so the runs are all specific to the individual. So it will take your individual results from week 1, and then it will turn it into a specific program for that individual. So it doesn't matter how good you are at running, or how good you are, or how rubbish you are. The program will be specific for you, and then it's geared up to build you up to the level for Royal Marines. And then 3 bodyweight workouts a week are for the VPJ FT, for ROP, so recruit orientation phase, and then obviously for recruit training. So it's all up to date. I've been using it, getting really, really good results. So yeah, and it's dead cheap as well. That's the reason I wanted to do it, because if you think of, so I said earlier, 60 people joined and 12 finished in my troop, right?
That's not a very good ratio, is it?
That's
really?
horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
5%
return.
dropouts.
Yeah, exactly. So not only is that a waste of taxpayers' money, a waste of Royal Marines' valuable assets, but also it's a waste of those lads' time who aren't going in and they're not up to the required standard.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know, this is a business as well, but I'm passionate about getting the right people into the Royal Marines. And actually helping the Royal Marines as an organisation. So so that's my plan. That was one of the reason for it, and I've made it really cheap so that, because I know that 17-year-old lads are going to be using it as well. I don't want to make money, like tons of money out of this. Is just like a byproduct. I've got a successful PT business anyway, so this is just something on the side, and it's something to help the lads. So yeah, so you get like a Facebook group as well, and we'll support you throughout your time at Lympstone as well. So that's the reason why I do it. I want to see good lads and ladies now get into the Royal Marines.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Complete Commando Programming.
Good to know. Good to know.
So yeah. I haven't said anything. This is info.
What was the? If you had your time again, obviously you're 30 years old now. You went in when you were a relatively young lad. Yeah. So I imagine you got a bit more wise over the years. Is there anything you'd change? Is there anything you'd do differently?
So what can tend to happen is you go through Royal Marines training and you sort of become a bit of a robot in a sense. Like, you know, you get told where to be at what time, what place and what rig and what attitude. And you just, like, someone will tell you to do something and you just won't question it because you just become this sort of robot. And I guess that's what they're trying to make. You're a thinking soldier, but in the realms of like, right, whatever it is I've got to do, I'll do. But what can happen is that you can take that into your career and become a bit stagnant in terms of like career progression. So you just sort of like go with the flow of it. Whereas now I'd push things a lot more. You know, like I'd maybe try and go SF, or I'd try and go into a branch with a bit more speciality rather than just general duties, and I'd really try and make more of my career in a sense, you know. Whereas like I just sort of like went with the flow
Yeah.
Whereas some lads are really good at, like, you know, pushing the doors open to get what they want from the service. That's one thing. I'd also make the most of, like, the downtime and really study and stuff, and get myself, you know, more educated in certain aspects, you know, strength and conditioning or whatever it is. And I'll probably journal a lot as well. Journal a lot as well, because I've forgotten a lot of things. You know, like, you forget those things in Afghan and all the things you did around the world, and the little experiences and stuff like that. So I'll probably do that as well.
Sam Logan Diaries.
Sam Logan Diaries, yeah. A bit like Anne Frank's, but,
Oh, probably more interesting. Yeah.
Slightly more, yeah.
Fair enough. What you mentioned there, the different sort of careers you could have had. For people who maybe don't know, what are the different, like, branches you can go down? What are the different careers you could have in the
loads of things, yeah. I mean, loads. You can be a mechanic, engineering. You can do heavy weapons, mortars, storeman if you want, driver, signals. Go down the SF branch, not branch, but the route to go to SF. Well, loads. PTIs, physical training instructors, something that really appealed to me. Mountain leaders, which is very hardcore. Yeah, loads of different branches, to be honest.
Nice.
Tons of career. So that's the great thing about Marines, is, like, yeah, it's one job title, but within that job, there's tons of other jobs you can do.
Yeah. Any last thoughts or any last sort of comments for people? I mean, if they're, you know, only going to watch sort of 20-30 seconds on why to join the Marines, what would you say?
I'd just say, if you have made the decision to join, this is it now. Wholeheartedly delve completely in. You can't be half-hearted with this job. You know, this is a life and death job, and you've got to go into it both feet in. If you're not sure, or you're on the fence, go away for a year, get some life experience or whatever, go around the world, and then come back. You need to make sure you are sure that you're making the right decision here, because once you're in, that's it, in my opinion. You've got to flip and stick it out, whatever happens to you. One of the best jobs in the world. If you are serious about it, go for it. You won't regret it.
Cool. Thanks very much.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
All the best.